Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about a new potential base Dead by Daylight mechanic that will be in the game to combat excessive slugging while also not making survivors stronger in any way. So how many times have you been in a game and a killer will slug you for the entire 4-minute duration and bleed you out out of spite, out of, one of your teammates disconnected and you tried to go next and the killer was like, no, I'm not having any of that. So they just keep you in the match. This happens all the time. It's not super widespread, but when it does happen, it's one of those things where you're just like, I'm done with DVD for the day. And killers pretty much have full control over doing that, and survivors have absolutely nothing to deal with that. So I'm proposing a little bit of a mechanic called the push limits mechanic. So basically, if you would be on the ground, if you've been slugged for more than 5 seconds, a new button appears called push limits. And when you press this button, it increases the rate that you bleed out by 400%, meaning you will bleed out in 1 minute instead of 4 minutes if you're holding it down constantly. In exchange, you actually move twice as fast on the ground. So there's actually some tangible benefit the survivor gets if they do not want it to be a mercy mechanic or a give up mechanic. It actually allows survivors to maybe get somewhere safer, but it also has an added protection of 5 seconds so they can't use it to just get to a pallet after they're down or something like that. So here's a quick example of what the mechanic itself would look like. Okay, so let's go over this again now and go over what the actual UI elements mean. So when you're on the ground for 5 seconds, like I said, you get this new push limits button. When you're holding that button, your screen kind of implies that you are pushing your own limits. The bleed out indicator is very clearly going down faster. There's a little effect on there to show you that it's going down faster. And you move at twice the speed, and this would also stack with tenacity as well. But you're also going to be bleeding out 4 times as fast. Now, the main thing here is just to have it for combating killers that are just being spiteful to slug you and waste your time for 4 minutes. This is not just you get down and you just immediately try to kill yourself on the ground, because it's not going to be that quick. It's still like an entire hook state. So it's not like you can just get out of the match instantly and it's not going to be a free give up like that. So if survivors want to give up, they're still going to give up, whether they do it on the hook or they do it on the ground. They're still going to do it the same way. This just makes it so it's a bit less painful when, there's 4 of you slugged on the ground, the killer's just looking for everybody. Even if they're not being, intentionally a dick, they're just kind of playing sweaty and you have 4 players on the ground. Sometimes you can't really help that as killer, and this would make it so you guys could just die faster pretty much. But it does have the little side effect of making you crawl twice as fast, and this could actually have real risk reward applications as a slight change to survivor gameplay. I wouldn't call it a buff or a nerf. It's sort of like a side grade, because you're trading a ton of bleed out timer for the ability to potentially get further away from the killer than they originally thought you would be. So that could be some kind of interesting element, and it's still safe against survive with friends abusing it by crawling under a pallet really quickly, because it wouldn't take effect until 5 seconds after you were sitting on the ground. So it would just let you, in a scenario where the killer's slugging the entire team, you could at least spread out and try something like that. So there would be some benefit. I'm not going to lie, the main mechanic would be enabling you to actually get out of a match with a killer that's spitefully slugging you for no reason, but there would be slight interesting new gameplay elements too that I think could be really neat, and you could even have perks that are new in the future affect something like that. So that's pretty much it. Very simple mechanic. I don't think it would change much of the game at all. Most of your games, you're not getting intentionally slugged out for 4 minutes by a killer, so it's not a big deal. And most of your games, you're not going to get any value by killing yourself 4 times faster and moving further. So it's just little niche scenarios that introduces something somewhat interesting and prevents a absolute headache scenario for a lot of survivor players. So pretty harmless. Curious to hear what you guys think. Thanks for watching.